This might be controversial to some in the hi-fi world, but it's actually okay to have some fun. Not everything needs to be so sterile and overly analyzed. It's perfectly fine to like a product without deep diving into the measurements or hardware, where in some cases, if you're not entirely sure how to read the charts, you may key in on some things that are totally irrelevant to real-world listening. And while measurements is something that I do pay attention to personally, especially if I'm spending a lot of money on a product, it doesn't always need to be the case. For example, I love all the new tech, all the advancements in hardware and software. That drives a lot of my enthusiasm in this space. But I also have a soft spot for vintage gear that in all reality, it doesn't measure as well or have all the features. But it still does make you feel a certain way. The look and feel and sometimes the absence of what, some might call the perfect sound, that gives it the character that many do appreciate. At the end of the day, we shop for gear for ourselves and for, just our various spaces. One man's hi-fi setup may be another's garage setup, and really none of that matters. The hi-fi snobbery, it just doesn't sit very well with me. Shop the product that you gravitate to that matches up with your needs and go from there. Today, as we navigate this topic, I want to use the AIMA A80 as a talking point. It fits a lot of the fun factor items I touched on. It's around $200, making it affordable for beginners. It has a screen with digital VU meters. It has a very competent DAC in the ES9038, and it uses an amp chip that just flat out works, the TPA3255. It also has multiple inputs, a trigger, PFFB. The long and short of it, it's a very well-rounded amp for the price. Let's start with the reality check. When did hi-fi become so serious? When did we decide that enjoying music requires expensive cables, golden ears, or the ability to see sounds? Oh, I'm sorry you can't hear the difference between these cables. The cryo-treated is obviously so much more resolving. Look, I do love the high-end audio market a lot. Give me all the new tech. I'm all about it. But we need to avoid the culture that you need to spend your kids' college fund to be taken seriously, with many flat out saying that anything budget is a toy and trash. It's just simply not true. While in most cases the more expensive items do prevail, it's not that simple. There are diminishing returns on expensive gear, as well as just buying for your particular needs. I'll continue to buy high-end audio equipment for my main system as it gives me what I'm looking for. And I mean, it's my personal choice, right? But I have no problem saying some of the budget buys available today will fill the needs for a lot of people, especially the youth who we should be trying to welcome into this space any way that we can. So what you just saw me drink was Magic Mind. This company reached out and said they'd only work with me if I genuinely loved it after trying it. Well, after 7 days of using it daily, I do get it now, and that's exactly why you're seeing it on today's video. Here's the thing, I've always had brutal afternoon crashes. Morning coffee, it gets me going. Then around 2 p.m., I get hit with this wall where it's either drink more coffee and get jittery, or just feel foggy and, kind of tired the rest of the day. I've been well known to play coffee roulette on the busy days where, you shouldn't drink coffee after 5 p.m., but yeah, I still do it. But this past week, taking one of these in the morning, replacing coffee, the difference is actually noticeable. Instead of that energy roller coaster, this is more of a steady, calm focus that just tends to last. I'm getting way more done because my energy stays consistent and my focus actually stays on point. If I still want that coffee in the morning, which sometimes I just do, I've also tried these out prior to a workout and the results were still great. I had lots of energy without feeling anxious, like some of the other highly caffeinated options make me feel. Magic Mind is a mental performance shot with time-released caffeine, so instead of all the caffeine hitting you all at once like coffee, it slowly releases over 1 to 3 hours. Plus it has nootropics and adaptogens that give you calm, focused energy without the jitters. The biggest thing that I've noticed, I don't spend the first hour of my day trying to, just find my focus. I take this and generally within about 20 minutes, I'm ready to work. No scrolling, no procrastinating, just heads down work. If you're tired of feeling scattered or relying on coffee-fueled binges, I'd honestly recommend trying this. Today's video sponsor, Magic Mind, is giving a 50% discount for subscriptions. They're linked in my description below. Plus, they offer a 100-day money-back guarantee. Even if you drink all the shots, there's literally zero risk on this one. Now let's get back to the A80. Like I said, I think something like the A80 here is perfect for someone getting into audio and wants sort of the complete package at a reasonable price. You get good sound quality, and it's actually really functional, and a bit of fun too. $200 gets you a fair bit as well. For inputs, you get USB, optical, coax, TRS, RCA, and Bluetooth. Power's coming from the 3255. Expect real-world numbers, somewhere around, with a 48-volt, 5-amp power supply. It's going to be around 150 watts per channel at 4 ohms, and roughly 75 at 8 per channel. It's going to be enough to drive efficient speakers with ease in all cases, and semi-efficient speakers to loud levels in what I would consider medium spaces. This one is op-amp swappable if you want to go down that route. It's replaceable with all the usual suspects. I won't go into a teardown on this one, but it's roughly 8 screws and a couple of minutes to open it up. It does include a remote if you want to use this beyond your desk, and it's actually really flexible, including both a trigger to power on and off the amp with other equipment, and a standby mode that it'll enable after 5 minutes without signal. I really like that, especially the trigger. If you're selling an amp, give us the trigger, or at the very least an auto sensing option, because there's no reason that we should have to hook these up to a smart strip for power management. There is an auxiliary out on the A80, which in almost all cases is going to be paired with an active sub. It's not uncommon to see that 3.5mm connection, but I do wish it had a standard sub out. The output is variable though, so at the very least it functions very well with this simple sub integration. Set your crossover frequency on the sub and just send it. Another thing I want to touch on, it's absolutely okay to prioritize the enjoyment of the music over perfection of equipment. It's okay to want gear that makes you smile. It's okay to value convenience. That last one I'd really like to speak up on. Streamers are the most guilty of this in my opinion. And me having added in, well over 20 different streamers in for review, I can tell you that if the software is terrible, it's simply not worth it. If it's going to be an inconvenience to listen to your music, you're unlikely to even use it. Make sure to keep that in mind on some of your next buys. Don't be sold on the basis of a perceived sound quality before you actually see how the product operates. I try to touch on usability in all my videos just so people can avoid this type of thing when they bring a product home. And if that's the kind of info you guys do appreciate, send a subscription this way. I always try to give you an idea of what it's like to live with a product day to day. Getting into some of that real world usage, this is an area where the A80 really shows up. It's literally a plug and play design rather than pay to play where you're going to need a lot of other accessories to make it happen. For a lot of users, this is just going to go direct into their PC over USB. My personal preference would be to simply pair this with any of the recent Weems, even though, the Mini that comes in under $100. There's no cryptic menu systems on this one where you're not entirely sure what you're changing. It's simple inputs, brightness, tone controls, and your VU screen selection, which is kind of cool in itself. There's a few to pick from. It's one of the features that does set this one apart. It's certainly not going to make it sound better, but that's fine. It's actually kind of fun. Now let's talk a little bit about the sound quality. I was so glad that this didn't sound like hot garbage. It has so many good things going for it, and thankfully it does sound good. First, yes, it is Class D, obviously, but please don't jump headfirst into the camp of all Class D sounds like cold digital audio. It's honestly a bit dated to think that way, and just how some of this is perceived. It was once, honestly, it was pretty justified with some of the previous inferior designs. But modern Class D with advancements like PFFB can actually sound really good for the money. My general preference is still a good AB amp, but I have certainly been paying less attention to that in the past year. It's honestly coming down to the actual design and implementation more so than the amp topology for myself. A long and winded sound review really isn't needed here. It's a $200 amp that, despite its price point, does sound good for the money. There really isn't any notable coloration, fatigue-inducing brightness, or obvious faults. It's simply clean power that will be much more influenced by the speaker than the amplifier. While this one won't give you the ultimate resolution with truly revealing speaker pairings, it's going to be perfectly fine having a good time with less than perfect recordings. To put this in another way, your Spotify playlist is going to be just fine. In some cases, this no-hassle amplification is exactly what a number of people want. Some of the high-end equipment really needs the perfect synergy between pieces to really shine. This one doesn't really require the same diligence. Simply throw it on your desk, into your main listening room, or even pick one of these up for someone going to college. It's the perfect audiophile gift for the non-audiophile, sort of the middle ground where a lot of the good things do happen. To the traditional audiophiles watching this, I'm not attacking high-end audio. I'm a fan of it. I am attacking the gatekeeping and the snobbery that occasionally follows it. There's plenty of room in this hobby for the $200 amp, as well as the $20,000 amp. There are two rationalizations that need to occur here though. Price doesn't always equal performance, and that one goes out to my high dollar friends. But also, every budget buy isn't a game changer that'll end high audio either. So these do apply to both camps. I'll leave you with this. Remember why we do this. It's not to impress other audiophiles or win some spec sheet competition. For most of us, it's about music and just our level of connection that the equipment does bring us. Simply get the best audio equipment that fits your needs and let the rest just happen. So that's it for today. Please drop by the comments and share your opinion. And if you have time, send a like and subscription this way. It really helps to drive these out to a wider audience. Take care. Later.